36 to 53% of all small businesses are sued every year. 43% are threatened with lawsuits. And it's estimated that almost 90% of all small businesses will be sued in their lifetime. Are you ready if that happens to you? Stay tuned. Welcome to the WorkHARDAholic Show with your host, the original WorkHARDAholic, Shirley Crawford, author, speaker, and small business consultant for over 20 years, helping you to work hard, play harder, and business better. Hello, and welcome back to the WorkHARDAholic Show with your favorite host, or at least your favorite WorkHARDAholic, because I'm probably the only one you know offhand, Shirley Crawford, the original WorkHARDAholic with the WorkHARDAholic Show. So the reason that we do this show is to give entrepreneurs access to information, resources, the things that you need to be more successful in business, to get started, to stay sustainable, and to succeed all the way across the board. So today we're going to talk about a couple different things. I want to help you all because I had an opportunity to attend this event this week. I'm going to tell you all about it in just a moment. And it reminded me of the questions that you all are asking out there in the general population. And I was like, let's see what we can do to help. So I want to share with you all an AI tech tool. In addition to that, I want to address, if you haven't heard about the Panera situation, let's talk about that. Okay. First things first, I want to say a special thank you to the Metropolitan Business League. Don't get people's names wrong. The Metropolitan Business League here in Richmond, Virginia, for the invitation to be one of their panelists for the Women Who Mean Business Summit. It's an event that's been going on for some time now. It's an amazing event, bringing together women throughout the metropolitan Richmond area and actually beyond, and having an opportunity to network, to get connected, and to tap in so that, especially as an entrepreneur, we live in our silos, right? We're doing the business of our business, and we don't always have time to focus on what's the new technology, what's the new law that's happening that impacts us. Who else do I need to know? Where do I need to connect? So it was an amazing event. It was held right here in Richmond with some fabulous speakers, Kelly Powell, Kimberly. I hate to jack up her name, but she was wonderful as well. She's a former Hallmark executive who has now started this amazing line of quilts. I'm going to remember the name, Kimberly Alexis. The last name leaves me. We'll be sure to get it to you, and I'll probably share some pictures on our Facebook or Instagram. I don't think I have already. Amazing event. And I had the opportunity to sit on a panel that talked about networking and connecting and mentorship. And as most of you know, I have a book that talks just all about that. So it was a really exciting opportunity to really, really connect. But during the event, as we shared, not just with the networking and the connecting and the mentorship, but even got to sit in on some other panels, one of which was my favorite. It was the host panelist that moderated was Lisa Collins from Capital One. And so got to sit in, and I don't know about the rest of you all, but I've been spending a lot of time focusing on like AI and what's happening next. And I think I've mentioned before that on most weekends, like at least 1 or 2 weekends a month, I always lock myself in either with YouTube University or with some other program that I've purchased, because that's what it takes to stay fresh and aware. Although there are also programs like this, or if you're listening to this on the podcast or seeing it on TV or hearing it over the radio, this is another way for you to tap in to make sure that you know what's happening, when it's happening, and how it's happening. So I did want to start off by saying, first and foremost, thank you again, MBL, for the opportunity to be a resource and to my community at large, and to all of you out there, even beyond the show. So I want to jump in now and talk first, before we get to the Panera stuff. And I just want to say, for the record, when you hear about something happening with a large corporation, it doesn't mean that you're excluded. It means, what can you learn from companies that have resources that you can't even imagine? So we're going to get to that in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about AI. As we're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, everyone's talking about ChatGPT, but there are so many other resources out there, right? So ChatGPT is an open AI source platform, but Microsoft has its own. Google has their own. And some of them you've been using all along, but you didn't really think about it or know. And the bottom line for you as an entrepreneur is that if you don't know, you're going to get smoked. You're going to get left in the dust because you can't look at technology and say, "Oh, it doesn't matter." I remember, because I am of a certain age, when the internet first became a thing. Like, can you imagine? Like now, can you imagine a business owner going, "I won't use the internet. That will cause problems. That will go away," right? It's not logical. But that's how a lot of you, supposedly logical people, are treating artificial intelligence, and it's not going away. If anything, you want to make sure you're mastering it now. Otherwise, you'll be paying someone else to do it for you later, although you can skip the learning curve and start getting exposed to it right now. So one of the tools that I wanted to share with you is called Fireflies. Just like the ones you expect. Fireflies, FIREFLIES.ai. And so the reason that is significant, and as I mentioned before, there are tons of them out there. There are AI for copywriting, AI for images, AI for generating like proposals. There are lots of tools out there. And so hopefully we'll come back, and if you all are really appreciating this, we'll start to go back to our tech tips that we used to offer, and we'll share more of those so that you all can be aware of what's out there and available. So I'll start to talk about Fireflies.ai. So this one is, especially for you who are using Google, it can be Google Meet, but if you're using Zoom or any of those online meeting platforms, a lot of times you sit in the meetings, and yes, you can press record if you are the author of or the owner of the meeting. But can you imagine every time, or you know how it is after the meeting, you're going, "What did so-and-so say? What was the point of that whole piece? I had to step away for a moment. Can I get a transcript?" Transcripts don't exist on Zoom. They do not. Unless, sorry, I watched Coming to America again this weekend. Unless you have something like Fireflies. So Fireflies, you can, if you are the owner of the meeting, you can set it up so that every time you host, I'm a Zoom user, so every time you host a Zoom meeting, you can have it set up so that it transcribes the message, the meeting, and not only does it transcribe it, but it can give you a synopsis. And it can give you like, here are the high-level points of what happened, here's what transpired. And so you can set it up so that if you're having a meeting, it always does the transcription, or you can invite Fred at Fireflies the same way you would invite a participant, and it will do the transcription. Or like, there are lots of options on how you can manage so that at the end of the meeting, you'll see it. And so for those of you who've been on a meeting and you looked up and you're like, "Who is Fireflies?" It's the transcriber, right? It's like inviting your personal assistant to the meeting to take notes. Give me just a moment right after this commercial break, and I'll tell you more about what it takes to sign up for Fireflies. And then we'll also get back to this whole Panera conversation right after this commercial break.
Listen, attorney Alex Taylor is a soldier in a suit, defending anyone with criminal charges, DUIs, and more. Call Alex Taylor, your soldier in a suit, at 804-500-5000.
I'm Alex Taylor. Don't face your criminal charges alone. Put a former prosecutor with 30 years of experience on your side. Let me show you how a soldier fights for your freedom.
Call 804-500-5000 or go to alextaylorlaw.com.
Life can be a struggle. Find hope, healing, and answers at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place to encounter God through uplifting worship, singing, prayer, the preach word, and fellowship. One step can change your life. One step could shift your destiny. There has never been a better time to take that step than now. Come be our guest every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place where you belong.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Okay, so we were talking about AI tools you can use in your small business. And so we're talking about Fireflies.ai. So here's the deal. I wanted to make sure I could explain to you all all about how to use it and all the benefits that you can find from it, or at least some of them. So here's the deal. Firefly, like most AI, has a free option, but then it has 2 levels of paid options. I'm only going to talk about the free. If you want to get into the more advanced options, then feel free to visit their website, fireflies.ai, and get more information. But first, the thing you want to know is that when you're trying to sign in for your account, the first thing it's going to ask you is it want to access your calendar. And you're going, why? As I said before, I'll say again, privacy is a thing of the past. So you just want to know, it is. So you want to know, like, how much you want to give to any particular resource or tool. So Fireflies wants access to your calendar because that's where your meetings are, right? That's where you're scheduling your meetings. So it can see, here's a meeting invite. That's the one that we're going to record. If you're telling it to go by every time you send out a web link, etc. And then, so once you give it the access, like I gave it access to my Gmail account that's attached to my Zoom account, right? That made sense. Then it's going to ask you, like, how do you want it to join the meetings? Do you want it to be that every time you create a meeting and you send out that web link that Fireflies is invited, do you want to send an invite to Fred at Fireflies? I love the fact that it's Fred. I'm assuming that's the founder. Fred at Fireflies, the same way you would send out a meeting invitation. Do you want it to, you have a bunch of options on how you want it to join the meeting. And Fireflies can join the meeting even after it's gone live. So if you forgot, I got a meeting and I forgot to invite the Firefly, it's okay. You can do it even while the meeting is live, the same way you would if you wanted to invite someone to a meeting that had already started. Okay? The beautiful thing about it is that it's going to give you an actual recap of the meeting. It's amazing because you really get to see this whole transcript. Now, keeping in mind, the same way that you have AI do your transcripts for anything else you're doing, you're going to want to read it and review it to make sure it didn't misinterpret. So as someone who speaks very fast, I do the whole más rápido all the time. And so sometimes the people are listening to me, they might not totally understand. I also have a lisp, which I went to speech therapy for like 7 years growing up. But sometimes everything doesn't come out as crisp and clear. And also recognizing and knowing that some of you just have mush mouths. And so everything sounds like womp womp, like Charlie Brown's teacher in the background. So that's why you're going to always want to make sure that you're checking the transcripts, especially if you're going to use it for something else. So after the recap, you also have the option of inviting someone else. So if you have a team member, a coworker, an assistant, or people in the meeting, and you want to invite them to be able to have access to the transcript, you can do that as well. And then from there, if you want to know more, they have a bunch of demos. There's also a lot out there on YouTube University about Fireflies and other software options that you can utilize for AI. Now, have I mentioned the price? I have not. So one of the deals you need to know is the primary level is absolutely free. As you would expect, it has a base level amount of, tips that you can utilize, and as far as how many recordings you can make and all the other things you can do to it. As you would also imagine, as you increase in level, increase in price, you increase in functionality. Like, never doubt it. It's a given. So on average, for the main level, because here's a psychology piece that we always learned about marketing. Whenever you offer someone 3 tiers, which you should always offer someone 3 tiers, 3 points of accessibility and price, most people, I think it's like 70 or 80%, will always go for the mid-tier. So in this case, mid-tier, you're talking about $228 a year or about $30 a month. So they would say $29 a month. You know how I feel about that $9.99 stuff, but I'll say $29 because they say $29. So this is what we wanted to make sure we share with you with regards to a tech tip. And if there's some other tool out there that you're just like, I really want to know more about it, send us a message, drop us a line, DM us, email us at admin@WorkHARDaholics.com. Or like I said, DM us on any of our social media, and we'll be sure to share those tools with you and potentially even bring in an expert to share more information. So this week's tech tip for you all is going to be Fireflies, FIREFLIES.ai. And I'm going to warn you once again, because I have to, please do not neglect to be aware of the resources and tools and things that are popping up. If you're saying you don't have time to find out more about tools like Fireflies or ChatGPT, which I would hope at this point everyone has an account. I would hope at this point everyone at least has the free ChatGPT option. I'm going to say it again because I'm doubting you all right now. I would hope that everyone has at least a free ChatGPT account. There are lots of other things out there as well, but I would hope that you at least have the bare minimum so that you can compete accordingly with your counterparts. Because as I said, it's not going backwards, folks. We don't learn how to create fire and then go back to making it with sticks unless we have to. The world is evolving. I need you all to evolve with it because I want you to be successful in your business endeavors. Okay, in just a moment, we're going to get to something that I find extremely, it's very sad, it's tragic, all these things are true. But as a small business owner, I love to look to see what's happening with larger companies and corporations because in this case, Panera, I mean, they have a slew of attorneys. I'm sure they're represented by a firm. They have access to resources that we think about, but don't always participate in. And as I was looking over the situation, I was noticing they've had several lawsuits. Am I the only one who hadn't heard about any of them? This is the first one that I've heard about. And it's probably the first one with regard to the charge lemonade, but it's not their first rodeo. Like they've been going through a bunch of different things, but they manage it and they manage it so well that we as customers, if we aren't paying attention, weren't even aware that these things were happening. So at this point, we got another commercial break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk Panera. We're going to talk lawsuits, and we're going to talk how you as a small business owner need to protect and prepare yourself in case you're one of the 90% of small business owners that will be sued in their lifetime. Right after this commercial break. Ladies, are you looking to move your office from your kitchen table to a space of your own? Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Are you looking for co-working and community? Well, then come join us at the Women's Business Center, RVA, located at 1510 Willow Lawn Drive, Suite 100, directly across the street from the Kroger at Willow Lawn. Visit us on the web at wbcrva.com or on social media at WBCRVA. In honor of the Women's Business Center RVA 5-year anniversary, the countdown is on. Ladies, it's time for the WBC RVA Toolkit, starting in October. You don't want to miss it. It means every Thursday you co-work not for free, but it's included. So that's co-working every Thursday. Each month there's one seminar and one group coaching. So all day Thursday you can come hang out here at the Women's Business Center RVA, and it's just $25 a month. Tell them about it, Joanne.
Yes. And a couple of the topics that we will be talking about, discussing and reviewing and going through are starting a business the right way, because we do want to start off the right way. We're also going to talk about a business model canvas and how your company creates value for its customers. You can register today at wbcrva.com.
See you in October. Welcome back. Let's get into it. So, as I mentioned before at the top of the show, I talked about the stats, and I was amazed but not surprised all at the same time with the fact that 90%, like I had never seen the number. We often talk about the fact of why we don't want you to be a sole proprietor, because if you get sued, that means they can go after all of your personal assets. That's why we want you to be incorporated, right? And so we talk about that all the time. And I knew it was a high number, but 90% of all small businesses can expect to be sued in their lifetime. Like, that's pretty high. That's amazingly, ridiculously high. But then when I think about it, I've seen some of you all, no shade, but shade, intentionally trying to find ways to like get over on companies. I have seen people literally be like, oh, there's a little slip of a puddle. Let me go trip up over there. All right. This is just an everyday life. And so we know what's happening. We know we live in a litigious society. People love to sue, but wow, 90% was, okay. But let's come back to Panera. Now, as a faithful SIP Club member, I get the charged lemonade all the time. So I've had several people reach out to me like, Shirley, have you heard about the charged lemonade? And I have to say, yes, I have. Okay, so here's the deal. There's a lawsuit that happened in, it was filed in the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas last week, I believe, last week. And so what happened is there's a 21-year-old student. She has a heart condition, and it's called long QT type 1 syndrome. And so it's a heart condition. That means that you should avoid highly caffeinated beverages. You can actually have to moderate like exercise and some other things, strenuous activities, the whole nine. And so the case is with Sarah Katz that apparently on the day of her death, she had one of the charged lemonades from Panera. And so her parents are now suing. And an hour later, I don't want to get the timeline wrong. Keep in mind, I am not your attorney. See, this is why we have to do disclaimers, because I don't want you suing me. I am sharing the information, and so third party sharing information with you all. But the most important part is, how does it impact you? Okay? So not your attorney, not your accountant, not your legal consultation, whatever other disclaimer I need to have to say, this is just education, information, and a little bit of edutainment. All right. So Sarah Katz, according to what was filed, had charged lemonade from Panera, and I believe it was within an hour of it or so, or an hour after she got to the hospital, one or the other, she died from cardiac arrest. And so the whole point of the case is that she's an Ivy League student. She goes to UPenn. I didn't know UPenn was Ivy League. I'm sorry, I didn't know. But that's how it's stated. But Ivy League student, very well educated. And so the bottom line is that if she didn't have enough education to know that this was a beverage that she shouldn't be having, then how is it safe for anyone else in the world? And so I find it very interesting, because I just find it, there's two sides to the story for me, potentially even three, right? So on the one hand, you go, if she knows that she has a condition, and this whole case is based off of, or part of it is based off of a supposition that because she was very intelligent and she couldn't understand what Panera was saying, then clearly it's not marketed or advertised correctly or well. And part of me goes back to even the case with McDonald's. Everyone remember the McDonald's coffee case? And so what happens, they got sued because someone got scalded by the coffee that was served. And I say scalded intentionally, it's the right terminology. And I know when I first heard it, I was going, because after that, if you go to McDonald's now, you see a disclaimer that the coffee is hot, and you should be aware that it's hot. And so from a consumer standpoint, it sounds idiotic, right? It sounds really stupid. I know the coffee is hot. Duh. I'm perfectly aware that the coffee is hot. And when I first heard the McDonald's case, I thought it sounded stupid too. I did. I was just like, what? Someone got burned from coffee. Coffee is hot. We know this. But upon further inspection, there's a reason why McDonald's lost that case. I don't know if they settled or if they lost. Either way, it wasn't in their favor. But there was a reason. The reason was that particular McDonald's knew that their coffee was hotter than was the standard of McDonald's, right? They were aware that the coffee was hotter. Why? Because for all of you out there who whine all day going, my coffee got cold too quick. Well, they said, gotcha, and made it extremely hot. So that was what happened in that situation. So that's part of the reason why when we're looking at these type of, court cases and scenarios, you can't just dismiss it. Because I admit, when I saw the case, heart goes out to the Katz family, the whole nine, losing a daughter over allegedly. And I need us to make sure we use the right words. And some of these articles that are being written about it they're slanderous. I mean, if I were Panera after this case was over, I'd be suing for libel against some of these news outlets. But that's another story. So the family is alleging that it's because of the charged lemonade. It could have been something totally different. Don't know. They're doing autopsies and reports and information, all that stuff to find out exactly. But I still find it very interesting because now Panera has posted, if you're like me and you've been to Panera, you now see that they have posted the sign everywhere that says charged lemonade has caffeine, which we all knew, right? maybe we didn't all know. An assumption on my part. I was perfectly aware that it had caffeine. And so, but now it's saying it's not necessarily good for pregnant women, children, or those who are highly sensitive to caffeine. If you go into Panera, it's plastered everywhere. It's absolutely positively everywhere. And if you wondered why, it's because of this court case. Okay. So then I also started looking at like the comparison. So because people have been making these statements and they're like, and it's an interesting thing about words and verbiage. And I really want to get into it, but doggone it, I want to make sure you know how it relates to you. But just so you know, I'm going to go through this very quickly and then I want to share some tips for you. So just in case you're wondering about comparison, Starbucks Small Blonde Roast has 270 milligrams of caffeine. 5 Hour Energy has 200 milligrams. McDonald's 12 ounce has 109. A Red Bull has 80. And so they've been making the comparison that the Charged Lemonade, which has, did I write it down? It has like 300 and some odd milligrams of caffeine in it. That it's based off of the size. So the large has 360 some milligrams, which is a lot. And everyone's like, well, that's more than Red Bull. And that's this Monster combined. But here's the thing to know about making those types of comparisons. Like Red Bull only has 80 milligrams of caffeine. If you've had a small coffee from McDonald's, which has more caffeine, and a Red Bull it gives you wings so you can fly. It has a much larger impact, but it's because Red Bull doesn't just have caffeine. It has other ingredients, some of which have not been studied. So it's not just the caffeine. Time is up. Okay, let me see if I can very quickly at least give you 5 steps that you can utilize to protect your business. I'm going to go through them very quickly, and I'll be sure to tag them into the social media. So go to our Instagram, our Facebook at WorkHARDaholics, and after the show has been posted, I'll be sure to type these in to the chat. All right? So 5 steps to protect your business, especially the 90% who are probably going to get sued before your lifetime of your business. And these are from Investopedia. 1, I hate to say duh, but really, watch what you say and do. Be aware of conflict of interest, slander, shady associations, because you are known by the company you keep. 2, hire an attorney. And we have this list of questions that you should ask a potential attorney. I'll post those as well. 3, separate yourself from the business. Sole proprietors. This means you. Okay. 4, insure yourself, not just liability insurance, which I'm a big proponent of, but also E&O insurance. Never heard of it? I had neither. Errors and omissions insurance. It's if you're accused of making a mistake or not living up to your contract. And then make sure you're actually adding that verbiage into your contracts. And 5, protect your files. Protect your files, protect your information, protect your client's information, HIPAA regulations, the whole 9. You are responsible for the information you have if other people get access. Okay, that's the tip of the iceberg, but enough for you to get started. Hopefully you're signing up for Fireflies. Hopefully you are getting a time with your attorney. If you don't have an attorney, seek one out. We love Sarah McCurry. She didn't pay us to say that, but we're going to say it anyway. McCurry and Associates. Okay, we got to go. As we always say, live better. Do better, be better, and I hope that you don't get sued. Until next time, ta-ta! Like, share, subscribe, repeat. Like, share, subscribe, repeat. 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 Thanks for tuning in to WorkHARDaholics. Support our show by following on YouTube and all major social media platforms at WorkHARDaholic. Until next week, happy entrepreneuring.